The devious ways of Hollywood exposed. I hope you enjoyed that. Southern News Extra in a moment. News from the south. The search for clues about the terrorists sending letter bombs into Britain from Europe centred on Reading today. A letter bomb which exploded in Buckinghamshire had passed through the Reading sorting office, and a package which blew up at Dover would also have been sorted at Reading. Today all mail from the continent was x-rayed before being given the all clear, and police warned that any letter more than half an inch thick could be a bomb, especially if it bears a continental postmark. More than 100 demonstrators marched through Lewes today to protest at plans to reduce the education budget in East Sussex. Most of them were members of trade union groups and the Labour Party. They converged on County Hall to lobby councillors, but their protests fell on deaf ears. The County Council voted to abolish free school milk and put up the price of school dinners. The body of a woman who was murdered but never identified was buried in Kent today. The body was found in Bedgebury Forest near Cranbrook 2 months ago. Today's funeral was attended only by the police, as John Kane reports.
It was a quiet, anonymous burial at the Hawkenbury Cemetery in Tunbridge Wells. The flowers were provided by police officers, who admit they've made very little progress on the case. The burial was carried out by permission of the West Kent coroner, who adjourned the inquest on the woman last week. Her identity has not been established, though she may have been a casual farm worker. The police have described the murder as particularly brutal, and they're as keen as ever for people who think they can help to come forward.
Magistrates at Brighton sat in private today to hear fresh evidence in the legal battle to extradite 68-year-old millionaire John Gall from Malta. Gall is wanted on a warrant issued by Brighton magistrates 2 years ago, alleging that he was involved in the murder of his wife Barbara. But the Maltese authorities have asked for additional evidence to be produced before they decide on an application for his extradition. Barbara Gall was shot dead outside the Black Lion Hotel at Patcham in Brighton 3 years ago. Later, 2 London men were jailed for her murder. Hampshire's chief fire officer said today that some stores are putting their customers' lives at risk by failing to maintain emergency exits. Mr. George Clark said that in the past 3 days, fire brigade inspectors had found examples of emergency doors being blocked by extra Christmas stock. He warned that stores breaking safety regulations could face prosecution. Soldiers at the Royal Engineers Barracks in Maidstone have been put on special alert following last night's announcement of a Rhodesia peace agreement. A large contingent of sappers from the barracks is expected to fly to Rhodesia shortly on what could be a dangerous mission. Today they had an early Christmas dinner in the relative comfort of their barracks. Once in Rhodesia, the men, led by 25 officers and NCOs, will divide into small teams of about 9. They'll then go into the bush to watch the activities of the guerrilla armies of the Patriotic Front. But their orders are to avoid fighting except in self-defence. A widow who cared for Lord Parmore at his flat in Bournemouth until his death in 1977 today lost her claim to be supported from his estate. Mrs. Kathleen Montgomery, who's 78 and lives in Winchester Road at Worthing, claimed that she was a friend rather than an employee, and the peer had asked to marry her. But the judge said her case came nowhere near suggesting that Lord Parmore had assumed responsibility for her. The annual Christmas visit to the men of the Goodwin lightships, which was delayed by the weekend storms, took place this morning from Dover. Father Christmas was aboard the Dover lifeboat